Well, hello, Graybeards. Welcome to another edition of Home Round the Homestead. My lovely wife is going to demonstrate how she makes bread out of a few simple ingredients. We don't even buy bread anymore either. She's making sourdough, but she makes this other bread that we use every day for sandwiches and everything. So stick around. Let me get set up, and we'll see how it goes. There you go. And there you go. So what are we doing today, Robin?
Okay, I'm going to make my easy homemade bread. This is the bread that you love. And believe me, it's easy to do. Doesn't take long. You can mix it up in a few hours. You just have to let it sit and you can put it in the oven and bake it. So it's great to do in the afternoon. You can have fresh bread for supper. So we love it. And like I said, it's very simple.
Okay. Well, walk us through the ingredients first, Robin, what you're going to use that you already got them
Okay.
mixed out.
So I already have 4 cups of bread flour, and the bread flour that I use and I would recommend is the King Arthur's bread flour because it has a higher percentage of protein in it, and it actually makes better bread.
Right.
So I've already put 4 cups in there, and then I have my yeast. I use the active dry yeast, and I've already got 2 1/4 teaspoons. So you just put that in there. And then I use the coarse kosher salt, and that is also 2 1/4 teaspoons. So you put that in there, and then you just mix that up. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just mix it up, and then it says just make a little well in the middle. And then you take hot water. So usually when I do this recipe or when I make my bread, I usually use the water that is about 97 to about 105 degrees. So I've already warmed that up, and I'm just going to I'm going to get 2 cups of that water.
Okay. Now, do you test it with the thermometer?
Yeah, I do test it with the thermometer. So what I use is this thermometer, a digital thermometer, but you can use a regular thermometer that you have in your kitchen to test it.
Okay.
So you just pour that in there.
And that's 2 cups, right?
2 cups.
And it's 95 to 100.
Usually about 97 to 105 is what I usually use.
To
You don't want it too terribly hot. I don't know if it will do something, it'd be too hard on the yeast or whatever, but you want it warm enough so that it gets that yeast going.
To activate the yeast?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really just 4 ingredients. The flour, the yeast, the salt, and water. That's it. So really simple. Lot less ingredients than your store-bought and stuff. And so much better.
Oh, definitely. Now, do you get your hands in that?
Usually I don't. I just mix it up. And it looks a little rough, but
it's gonna.
And I thought about that too. I was like, that doesn't even look like a nice ball of dough, but it looks a little rough. But I just mix it up, make sure it's just all mixed up.
Okay.
And then I just go ahead. The next step is it says to put olive oil drizzled down the sides and over the top. So I just put.
You put olive oil?
Yeah, I just like extra virgin olive oil, and I just kind of sprinkle along the sides.
Like
and a little
teaspoon maybe, or a little more?
I would guess it's probably a little bit more, and I don't even measure because it just says drizzle. So you drizzle down a little bit on the sides, and I think that's just so it doesn't stick as much. Yeah. And then just some on the top.
All right.
And then
you just
cover it up, and it says 2 hours, so you just have to let it rise 2 hours.
Is this a seal or is it loosely?
It's loosely. You just cover it up. Some people can put a lid on there. I wouldn't tighten it. I just put it loose. And it doesn't have to be in a hot space, but you don't want your house too cold either. Just, room temperature. So you don't have to put it, warm anything up or anything. And, I just have it sitting in there. And I use the stainless steel because I think it does keep the heat a little bit, from that water.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I just let it sit there for 2 hours.
And then
you can put a towel over top, whatever you have.
Now you use just, so once that's done, then you're gonna put it in the pan.
Right. So once that's finished, then you take a Dutch oven. You can just use a Dutch oven, and I have used a Dutch oven, but I just recently purchased these. So that is actually a bread pan, but it is a cast iron, just
Right.
like your Dutch oven.
Okay.
So then I just purchased that, and so that I can have it as a actual bread loaf instead of just a round one, and it's a little bit longer and shorter than a loaf of bread.
More of like a regular.
So I'll just put it in there. You cover it up, and you just cook it like you would in your Dutch oven.
All right. Well, we'll bring you back when this was the recipe that she did. I don't know if you can read her handwriting. You can pause the video to make out the chicken scratch. And then there's some on the back side, some instructions on what to do. Seems pretty easy. We'll cover the more as we go along, and we'll bring you. For you, it'll be like a couple seconds when it's done. All right. And Robin's got everything set up here to the dough, I'm assuming, is risen.
Right. And I had mentioned before that it says 2 hours on the recipe. Obviously, you can go a little bit longer than that, which I did today. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if it's 3, 4, 5 hours later, it's fine. I do that most of the time. That's what I do anyways. Mm-hmm. And just before we get going, I just want to say this is not my own recipe. I did obtain this recipe from an online site. So it's just a recipe that I am using to make this bread. But
this is how you do it, right?
Right. This is how you do it.
Demonstration.
I took the recipe from somebody else.
It's not your personal.
It's not my personal recipe, no. But it's 4 ingredients. You can't go wrong. So the dough is ready. It's risen. So you just take it.
Turn it so they can see us. There you go. Nothing special tools, just your.
Nope, just take it out of the pan.
And
then it says to knead it. So you knead it, and it's adding air, texture, and lightness to the dough. Kind of gives it that kind of those bubbles and whatever in the bread.
Yeah, you don't want to do it too much because
you don't want to do it too much. So I just kind of do it together and just kind of.
Now you usually do that in a ball because you have your other ovens round.
Well, I'm not really. Yeah, we're putting it into more of a bread pan, but it says to make it into a loaf. It doesn't end up
more of a loaf pan.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't end up like that when you put it in the round because it kind of takes more round of the bowl of the Dutch oven.
Right.
Okay. So that's actually ready to go.
Mm-hmm. But you don't want too many airs and holes in it because this is more for sandwiches and that kind of bread.
So you don't do it too many times, and I don't do it too many times actually. So I just take it over here and I put it onto.
You can't see your parchment paper over there.
Yep, I'm bringing it back over here. So I put it back over here and I put it onto the parchment paper. And it says to score it a few times. So.
You don't do it before you put it in or after you put it in?
Nope. So you just take and make a few spots in it. Score it a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do however you like, though.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's no, you know what I mean? There's no, it's no perfection or anything, but I've got to wipe off my hands here so I can get it into the oven. And I've preheated the oven, and you preheat the oven with the pan in the oven. So I preheated the oven to 450, and you put the pan in there when you start the oven, so the pan heats up with the oven,
right? With
the Dutch oven.
So that's what you.
Right.
And you don't do that while it's rising. While it's rising, you just you want to.
However long it's going to take your oven to heat up, and usually it's about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
20 minutes to get to 450. And once it gets to 450, then you just take it out. Make sure you got your bread ready to go. And then you just take this out. Put it like this.
Is there a little moisture in there?
Probably from the heat. And then I put my bread on the parchment paper, and I actually got these nice little silicone lift things. It makes it really nice to get the bread in and out of the
Hot, yeah.
the pan itself.
Now you can make extra long parchment paper and do the same thing.
You could, but it's a little bit different to hold the parchment paper, and if the parchment paper gets a little bit cooked and burnt, then it falls apart on you.
Yeah.
So
do you just leave those things hang out the
I
side?
do leave the things hang out the sides, actually.
Right.
They on the other one, they kind of hang over the top. So this would be new for me.
It's not really set.
It's not. Well, it's not going to settle because these are on the side.
I just want you to know, so
Right.
it's not really locked
Yeah.
in. And then she just puts it in the oven.
Then I just put it in the oven for the designated amount of time. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see.
Yep.
And for this recipe, it says 28 minutes with the top on, and then you can take that top off and cook it for about 5 minutes to let it get a little brown.
Right. So it's kind of a long process through the day, but you
Yeah,
can
but
do
it's-
other things while the dough is
yeah.
rising and stuff like that. So, okay.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's really,
Once you get
when
the
it comes
hang of
to
it,
doing bread, that's an easy bread recipe. Anybody who makes homemade bread outside of a bread machine knows that it can be kind of time consuming, especially if you do sourdough bread. But this is our alternative to the sourdough bread.
yeah,
Because that is a process.
That is a long process. Okay, and then you just would clean up. Now these things you bought over
that's just a
time,
silicone
stuff
mat.
that she's
Yeah.
silicone mats. The other thing is so you can, that other one can go in the oven. This one cannot.
Right.
I wouldn't imagine.
Right. That's to be made to go in the oven.
Which is quite handy. I don't know if you can see all that stuff. It's pretty handy. It's got some measurements and conversions, 1 cup equal ounces, milliliters, all that.
Makes it for easy cleanup because I just scrape that off and scrape it into the garbage. And
Yep. All right.
I actually just take my,
Let's see.
just scrape it into one side and dump it in the garbage.
Right, into the bowl.
Or into the bowl, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll bring you back after. How long is it going to cook now?
That's 28 minutes with the top on and 5 minutes, about 5 minutes with the top off. You kind of watch it and get it to where
you don't test. You don't use a tester or nothing on it, right?
No. Till it's golden brown, and then you just take it out.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We'll bring it back when it's done.
The bread is done.
The bread is done. It's been in there for the prescribed amount of time. And look at that. That's amazing. Wow. This is the first time we've used the loaf.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's going to take it out and put it on her.
Very hot.
Yeah, these are very, very hot. But that's it. That's the final.
Yeah, and you just
Pretty amazing.
Just let that cool.
Wow. Awesome. Good job. Can't wait to have a sandwich with that. All right. I will sign off.
And thank you for watching.
All right. Thanks for watching. Hope it helps somebody out. If you leave a comment. If you have any questions, like it. If you would, subscribe. We appreciate it. Not that it really matters a whole lot, but it shows interest. Y'all take care and God bless. Look at that bad boy. Ooh, that's making bread.